humanoid underground dwellers. CHUD. They're not staying down there anymore.
In 1984's CHUD, John Hurd plays a surly fashion photographer who would rather be snapping more photos of the local homeless population of mid-80s New York, which might be the filthiest version of New York ever filmed. Meanwhile, Daniel Stern runs a local soup kitchen and has noticed that some of his customers, particularly those living underground, have started going missing. Stern reports this to the local police captain, played by Christopher Curry, who has noticed something similar going on in his area but has also had run-ins with Stern in the past. However, the captain's wife is also one of those who's missing, and so he seeks out Stern to find out what's going on. They interview one of the remaining homeless people who has seen some shit.
Gog and Magog.
Yeah, well, Val, I understand you used to live underground. What made you change your mind?
On each side of the throne, there are 4 living creatures filled with eyes in front and behind.
Creatures? You talking about your friends? They still down there?
I know your work. You go by the name of being alive, and you are dead.
Now listen, pal.
Dead! They have the power to shut the sky. They have the power to shut the sky.
After further investigation, Stern and his new police captain friend determine that there's something up in the sewers of New York involving toxic waste and a government cover-up. They aren't having any of it and confront the government officials directly, and when they continue to get stonewalled, they go all loose cannon to get to the bottom of it themselves, eventually crossing paths with John Hurd, who has been on an investigation of his own. I know I rage about horror movies where nothing happens, and CHUD is technically one of those, but the build in this is tremendous, and everything about the build is what makes CHUD so great. Hell, I really don't give 2 shits about the CHUDs at all. This could be about literally anything. Monsters, a serial killer, homeless people who just wander off to New Jersey because they found love, whatever. I mean, I don't hate the CHUDs, they're fine. I just think that the movie tends to be worse when they're on screen than when everyone else is trying to figure out just what's going on. The casting across the board immediately gives this credibility, and I haven't even mentioned the moment later in the film where John Goodman and Jay Thomas wander into the proceedings. Everything about New York depicted in this film seems authentic as hell, and while some of the underground locations are sets, others are actually shitty-ass New York underground places. Decontamination showers and tetanus shots must have been the norm during this production. The soundtrack is awesome as well and perfectly meshes with the scenes it's paired with. And while yeah, I think the movie tends to fall apart whenever the CHUDs actually show up, the makeup effects are still pretty cool. Especially one bizarro moment where one CHUD decides to go all ET on us. The CHUD Blu-ray from Arrow Video isn't as feature-packed as you might hope, but there's still some decent stuff here. There's 20 minutes spent with the film's production designer and 13 minutes with the makeup effects artist. There's also a 9-minute location tour throughout New York, and quite frankly, it's gross how clean everything is now. I mean, good for New York, I guess, but still. Luckily, there's value in the commentary track on the disc, which features John Hurd, Daniel Stern, Christopher Curry, writer Shep Abbott, and director Douglas Cheek. This is an older commentary from the original DVD release, I believe, but it is still one of the more entertaining tracks you'll find. The group gets off to a rip-roaring start and rarely slows down. There's also another track featuring the isolated score from the film, along with interviews with the composer. Now, this release is a 2-disc set, and the second disc features the original theatrical cut of the film. The first disc has an extended cut that is vastly superior, and is the one you should watch, but it's always good to have multiple releases of a film when they exist. The theatrical version runs about 10 minutes shorter, omitting some pretty important character details if you ask me. There are no features on the second disc. CHUD is probably best known at this point by its reference on The Simpsons and in other pop culture circles, but it deserves to be known as a fine little low-budget horror film, and as a shining example of when New York was at its absolute filthiest, i.e. its best.
You Cooper?
Yeah.
You alright?
Who are you?
We're in the soup kitchen.
On Kenmare.
Yeah, right. Man, this is crazy. Come on.
Thank God they deliver.